Today we're going to set up the MyStudio VS36 Versa Sweep. This is a new studio we brought out. It's actually the little brother of the larger VS53. Features a 36-inch wide white background sweep, and of course it's got all the 5000K lighting and everything that all the MyStudio tabletop units have. So what we've got laid out on the table right now is everything that comes in your box. So we're going to go ahead and go through things just real quick, and then we'll start putting them together. First of all, of course, you got your instructions, so you're going to want to refer to this when you're putting things together. The three tools you're going to need: I've got a flathead screwdriver, a small Phillips screwdriver, and either a crescent wrench or I prefer a 7/16 inch nut driver. So those are just the only tools you're going to need. This is the lamp fixture. It's a 48-inch lamp fixture. This has been powder coated white to get the maximum reflection from the light and output. This is the bulbs that come with it right here. There's two of them. Two 48-inch fluorescent bulbs are 5000K bulbs each, so that's the color temperature, which is a natural daylight temperature. Alright, behind that we start into the hardware. Got a couple of binder clips. We use these to clip the background onto the crossbar at the back at the end. We've got a couple of these screws with wing nuts. They're going to be used to attach these clamps onto the light. We're going to do that. That's the first thing we're going to do next. Got the nuts and screws that we're going to use to put the feet and legs together. The thumb screws that are going to be used to attach the light and also to attach the crossbar in the background. Alright, mentioned the legs. So these are all identical parts. So it doesn't really matter which one you use. When we get to putting the legs on the feet, we're going to kind of talk about the orientation based on the flange of the leg, which is this part, in relation to the feet, so we'll get there. These are the feet over here. Again, those are all identical, so it doesn't matter which one you use. This is the crossbar that's going to go in the back between two legs, and it's going to hang this with the clips. And then finally, we've got the 16x20 bounce card reflectors. So these are a 30mm polystyrene, and they're great for just reflecting light on either side of your product. And then each bounce card is going to use one of these easel backs on both sides of it to just kind of keep it standing up. So, alright, so that's everything. This is the 36-inch wide white background. It's a polystyrene material, so if it gets dirty or smudged, you can clean it off really nicely. But that's it. So that's everything. First thing we're going to do is put this lamp together. So what we're going to do for the very first part is take these two clamps that you have right here, and it's the same procedure on either side. I'm going to go ahead and put the instructions back here. And we're going to take this, this long screw and the wing nut. We're going to take those apart. And if you can see this hole right here on the lamp, what we're going to do is line up the hole here on these, and you want the this part with the threaded screw holes pointed towards the outside. You don't want to do this. You want it pointed towards the outside. So you're just going to place that over the hole. Alright, so there we go. Brackets are on nice and easy. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put the bulbs in the light. So just kind of keep them protected in this cardboard housing as long as possible. We're just going to do one at a time. Each bulb is very similar. We're going to start with the back one and just kind of put the little pegs in there. I guess I can't see it very well. Let's see. Is it in there okay? Alright. I'm going to do the same thing over here. See how they just kind of line up, go in this slot. Then you're going to give it a nice little twist, about a quarter twist to the right. It'll kind of click in there. And we're going to do the same thing with the next one. Alright, now that we've got the lamp all put together, we're going to go ahead and start putting together the feet and the legs. Now, as I mentioned, all the legs and all the feet are identical to each other. but what's important is the orientation of the flange on some of the feet. So basically, what we're going to do here, refer to your instructions. There's some photos and explanations in there, but I'm just going to show you a quick way to do it here. Basically, the first foot we're going to put together, the support, the flat part of the foot is facing outwards, and we're going to go ahead and put this, we're going to line up these holes with one hole in the back, and we're going to choose those two holes, and we've got the flange facing the back. Then we're just going to take two of these screws. Alright, we're going to put one through there, put a hex nut on it. Do the same thing with the other one. If you have a second person, it can make it a little easier sometimes, but you can muddle your way through on your own. And then basically you take your nut driver and just secure it with one side, and then take your flat screwdriver and just give it a nice snug twist. Nothing crazy, just want it to stay in place. Okay, so that's one done. So that one was with the flange facing towards the back. Now with the other foot oriented in the same direction, we're going to do absolutely the opposite. We're going to still go one hole from the back, but this time we're going to put the flange facing towards the front. Okay, for the second set of feet and legs, it's going to be very similar to the first set. So we've got the feet oriented out this way. And for the first set, we put them on the rear holes with one remaining. What we're going to do on this set is we're going to put them on the front holes. So we're going to stay one hole away from the front. On one of these, we're going to put the flange facing that way. The next one, we're going to place the flange facing the opposite direction. So let's do that real quick. Alright, so now we've got all of the feet and legs put together. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the crossbar, and if you look on the crossbar real close, on either side there's one kind of reinforced hole, and there's one that's just threaded, it's not reinforced. We're going to take the remaining two screws right here, and we are going to put them from the inside towards the outside, so the inside of the crossbar towards the out, and we're just going to put them in each of the holes on either side. So we're going to start with this one, and basically this is going to be called a locating or a securing screw on the crossbar. So one side and then do the other one, the non-reinforced part. And it is threaded, but you don't need a hex nut over here. You just need to just kind of secure it through there, and you'll be just fine. So then what we're going to do, this is the back crossbar. We're going to identify which of the feet and legs are actually going to be used towards the back. So the way you do that is, what we want on the back feet and legs is we want the flange facing towards the front where the camera will be. So, and we want the foot part facing out. So this is actually going to be the rear right side, and then this one right here is going to be the rear left side. So the feet are facing out either way, the two flanges are in front. Okay, so now that we know which legs we're going to have, so this is the left leg, this is the right leg, we're going to take the crossbar, so we'll hit the left one, and we're going to line up the locating screw right with the, I'm sorry if you can't see the holes here, with the outside holes, outside two holes. You don't have to worry about the other ones there. So it's going to be like that. So basically, the front of the crossbar will be kind of flush with the flange right here. And we're going to take one of the thumb screws, and we're going to secure it that way. So again, we're going to put the screw in the rear hole right here. I'm going to take a thumb screw. So basically, right now we've got the complete back assembly all set up, and what we're going to do is we're going to roll out this white background, we're going to attach it onto here, and then we're going to put the light on the light stand. We'll be ready to go. Okay, for this part, we're going to need 2 people, preferably. You could probably do it with 1. So we've got Tyler here. He was the cameraman before, and now he's my assistant. So we've got the background here. We're just going to gently peel off the tape. And we're just going to let it unfurl a little bit. And then you're going to take, each person's got one of these binder clips, and all you do is simply just kind of line it up with the top, flip it across the top, just like that. So we're going to move it back to the table, back to the back of the table a little bit. And by the way, we've got this on about a 5-foot by 7-foot table. It's a little on the large side for this one. You could probably get by with a table. You need it about 5 feet wide, but you could probably get by with a table that's 5.5 to 6 feet long. So it does take up some space. But these clips are also really handy if you are going to use seamless paper to change the color. So you just basically cut a piece of seamless paper to match this, which I believe is 36 inches wide by 72 inches long, and just clip it on here and you've got a whole new background color. So now that this is all done, we're going to go ahead and put the light together, then we'll put the bounce cards together and go from there. And Tyler's going to help me on the light too, because you definitely need 2 people for that. Okay, so we've got the light here, and we're going to go ahead, and what we're going to do is line up specific holes on these brackets that we put on with the holes at the top of the leg. So first thing we're going to do is lift it up, and we're going to take the outer back, like the top rear hole, and line it up with the top rear hole here, nearest the flange. And then we're going to go ahead and put the thumb screw in. Grab your thumb screw. So this is why it takes 2 people for this. Okay, and then if you will see, let's turn it just a little bit. There are 3 holes here, and the lamp can actually rotate to different angles. But what we're going to do is put it in the middle of the 3 holes to start with. Kind of gives you about a 45-degree downward angle of your light. It kind of gives the best spread to use for most products that you're going to be doing. Alright, once that's in, you just kind of line that up wherever we're going to put it. And I'm going to go ahead and get the bounce cards. We're going to quickly put those together, and then maybe we'll take a couple shots on this and show you a couple things about using the VS36 and how you might want to position the light compared to the background versus the product and things like that. So the final step is to just put these bounce cards together. It's a pretty simple process. Each bounce card is going to have, it doesn't really matter which side you use. One side may be a little more matte finish, the other side a little more glossy. I tend to prefer to use the glossy side as my reflective side. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the matte as the back. But again, it doesn't matter a whole lot. Basically what we're going to do is put an easel back on both sides, and it's got a sticky, removable sticky part. We're going to put one like this, and then one like this, just so they're about equidistant from either side of the bounce card. So 3-4 inches in on either side. So once you've picked your spot, just basically take that off, line up the bottom right here with the bottom here so that it's flush. Go ahead and put that on there. Then we're going to kind of pull this part over, crease it. Do the same thing with this other side. Alright, so we're going to just make this real flush right here. basically this little part comes here. This piece comes like that. Alright, so there's one of the bounce cards over here. The exact same thing on the other one. Alright, so here's the second bounce card. Alright, this is kind of an average position. Like, say we're going to put a product right here. Basically, the idea is that the light will be coming down here, it'll be hitting the bounce cards, it'll be hitting the back here, reflecting back onto the product, kind of giving a wraparound light, kind of a wraparound lighting effect. Very soft light, very even, and it's kind of like being inside of a large cyclorama, where a big studio where all of the walls are coved. But it's much smaller, it's on your tabletop, but you get the same effect when you're photographing your products. You have that wraparound soft light, you have a seamless background that kind of disappears into the back, you get that floating idea. So we're going to go ahead and take a couple shots in here and show you some things we can do with this. And there will be some other videos that are a little more advanced that you may want to check out with some different lighting scenarios. We may play with the accent lights. But we're just going to use the basic setup. This is what the basic VS36 is. And take a few shots in here and see what you can do with just the way it's set up as it is. Alright. Okay, so we've got the VS36 completely set up here. We're going to do a quick little photo shoot just to give you some ideas of how this might work and some normal configurations. And what we've got here, just 3 large bottles of craft beer. What I'm going to do is we're going to place them in here, take a couple quick photos. One thing I want to remind you of when you're using all of our tabletop photo studios, but especially the VS36 and the 53 where there's no top covering, you want to make sure that other lights are turned off. So right now we're going to go ahead and turn the main light off in here because we don't want any color temperatures bleeding into here. We don't want the light interfering with what we've got going on and the lighting going on. So let's go ahead and turn the light off here. And then I'm going to go ahead and just kind of set up these bottles like I might do in a regular photo shoot. Alright, I'm going to just get a look at it from the camera's perspective. Alright, just move them to the middle a little bit. Alright, I'm going to turn my camera on. I've got it on a tripod because when you're shooting with these, there's not a lot of light, so you're generally going to be using some slower shutter speeds. So you want to use a tripod to minimize any camera shake or anything like that. Let's see here. Okay, so I'm going to square up my camera. I'm going to get the focus right. I'm using manual focus right now. You can use autofocus, manual focus. Important thing is you want to get a good crisp focus on your shot. Alright, then I'm going to go ahead and position the bounce cards to just reflect a little bit of light onto the sides of the bottles. I don't want them too much in the shot. It can be a little in the shot if I'm going to crop around the bottles pretty closely, so I'm not too worried about that. I'll place that one, place this one here like that. Alright, as far as my settings go, I'm shooting at ISO 200. I've got about f4 aperture. And looks like proper exposure is going to be right around a 40th of a second, maybe 30th. I like to shoot a little bit air on the side of being maybe underexposed. I don't want to lose any detail in the highlights of my images. So yeah, so I'm at a 40th of a second right now, ISO 200 and f4. So if you haven't got a lot of experience shooting in manual mode, really recommend you watch some of the tutorials on the DVD that came with this, or they're on our YouTube channel, about shooting in manual mode and just kind of learn the concepts there. We're going to go ahead and take a quick shot. And alright, so I like that. It's in focus, properly exposed. One other accessory I highly recommend with this, the VS36, is to get a pair of either the AL1 or the AL2 accent lights. I would say probably the AL2 accent lights. They're a little bit brighter. There's 2 bulbs. And you can use those in different ways to do side lighting, back lighting, add some extra light to the front, things like that. But I would definitely recommend, if you get a chance, to get a pair of the AL2 accent lights from MyStudio. You don't need them. You can get some great photos. It's just, that's the first accessory I would recommend.